Hi, this is Leah Dudgeon and welcome to Life Take 2. This podcast shares stories of Filipino immigrants who started a new life in the United States. Moving to another country is a decision that takes more than one step. Life Take 2 is about starting over again. In each episode, we will answer important questions like why we did it and how we did it. Are you a new immigrant in the United States or maybe somewhere in the world? Or are you still at the point of deciding? You will hear practical tips and lessons learned in this podcast. I hope you will enjoy and learn from our conversations, one story at a time. I think everyone should try living abroad at least once, even for a short period of time. And I'm not talking about going on a 2-month or even a 3-month tour. I am talking about actually living and working in another country. That, I think, is the best way to enjoy a culture. To experience the day-to-day life of normal people, doing weekend grocery shopping, going for a quick walk at the beach, or maybe just eating regular food, whatever regular means. Previous and familiar food like toast with peanut butter and bananas, breakfast burritos, or the combination of chicken noodle soup and grilled cheese sandwich. These are now my new comfort food that I've learned to love here in the United States. Living abroad can be as short as a 1-year contract or a long-term migration like mine. If you are scared, think of it this way. Know that when you leave, you can always go back home if things don't work out. But the most important thing is to take away the fear by planning and not leaving things to chance. There is so much at stake: family, your career, and of course, money. But the most important for someone my age is that time is also at stake. Remember, we can always recover money or a job, but we can never recover time lost. So, knowing what to do even before you leave is so important. When I migrated in my 50s, a lot of people tell me, "Hey, you're so lucky. In a short period of time, you got a good job and you established yourself in an industry." Luck, or as the Bible calls it, time and chance, is an important factor, that's true. But successful migration has to be a combination of luck, game plan, and skills. I want to share what worked with me. There are things you need to do, and I will break it down in 2 categories. The things you need to do before you migrate, and the things you need to do once you are in your new country. In this episode, I will talk about what to do before you migrate or before you even make a decision. Number 1, do a test drive. Spend time in your new country several times, if you can do it, if you can afford it, before you even decide. Or at least once. This may be expensive for some, with extra expenses like plane tickets and accommodations, but this helps avoid surprises and culture shock. Before I finally moved to the US, I was here 3 times. Each time, I would spend at least a month. I stayed with friends, I did road trips, and I visited several states. While you are on your visit, do these things. Be familiar with the local area where you are planning to migrate. Learn how to take the public transportation. I asked my friends to teach me how to take the bus and the train. They taught me where and how to buy a bus and train pass. These are things to do to achieve some kind of independence and even become more confident going around. Do grocery shopping on your own. It will give you an idea on how much things cost. Don't just stay with one friend. Stay with several and preferably different locations. You will see the country from different perspective and maybe even different lifestyle. Talk to a lot of people and ask about their experience, their jobs, their challenges. You have to consider these people as your most important source of information because they will be telling you real life experience. They can give you a lot of practical advice. Find out about the Filipino community. Where is the nearest Filipino store and restaurant if that is important to you? Do all these things so you'll be familiar with the lifestyle and learn even how people talk. Number 2, make it a family decision. Whether you are doing this alone or with your whole family, make it a team decision. Especially if this involves your kids coming over and they are already at an age where they can decide. Our families are at different stages. In some cases, we can decide for our kids if they are too young. In other cases, like families with teenagers or young adults, you have to consider how this move will affect them in terms of studies or job situation. Number 3, do your financial plan. I cannot stress this enough. You might be saying, but Leah, that's the reason why I want to go abroad. I need to earn money. That is true, but you still need to have some plan. It is of course different if you have a firm job offer and as soon as you get there, you will start making money. But even in that situation, I would still be very cautious and make sure that I have at least some money in case things don't work out or your pay gets delayed. You don't want to be stuck in a country just in case you don't like the situation, just because you cannot or you do not have enough money to even buy a plane ticket. How will you pay for your living expenses? And what about your family in the Philippines while you're waiting for your first pay? Now, in my case, it's different. I came to the United States without a firm job offer. So that's a little bit more complicated. I know we have kababayans who would go to the US or other countries and then look for jobs. This is the situation of immigrants leaving for countries like Canada. That is why when you are migrating or applying for an immigrant's visa like Canada or the United States, they actually require you to have money for the months that you are trying to get settled. One important thing, make sure you have life insurance. Just in case something happens to you abroad, this will protect your family. Number 4, if you are leaving children behind, like I did, I made sure that things were in order. This way, you can avoid stress on your part and your family too. This means our kids won't get unsettled, and on my part, I can focus on the more important things and not worry too much. For example, we assigned and delegated responsibilities to my sons. Who will be in charge of doing the groceries? Who will take care of paying the bills? Who will be handling the budget? Next, I took care of the expenses. I left 2 months' worth of expenses in cash. I made arrangements for monthly remittance. I went to the bank and opened a bank account for my kids so that I can send money to them. I made a list of doctors they should see in case of emergency. I actually called up my doctor friends to let them know I was leaving. Next, I bought 3 months' worth of medicines, properly labeled for each ailment, not just the name of the medicine, but what it is for. For instance, paracetamol is for fever. Make a file of important documents your family may need in your absence. I ordered several copies of birth certificates from NSO, and I made sure these were organized in a binder, including my life insurance policies. And finally, in this number 4 tip, be ready to miss home a lot. On my first year, I slept on Christmas Day so I won't feel too lonely. I also developed insomnia. How can I sleep when Manila is just waking up? Lastly, always treat your life as a new adventure and a learning every day. Of course, there will be discomfort. Of course, you will have challenges. It is a new place, a new life, and a new culture. The key on my part, I think, was to anticipate potential problems in my absence. Of course, we can't plan everything, but just knowing that you have certain things in place really helps. Living abroad gives you a lot of benefits. Other than the economics of it, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. I learned a lot of things about myself too. I became more adaptable because I learned to embrace change. Migrating requires thorough planning. Whether you are moving for a few years or for the rest of your life, the key is to be proactive. In the next episode, I will share tips on things you should do to blend well and adjust as a new immigrant in the United States. If you learned from this episode, I hope that you will hit the like button. If you know people who are new immigrants or are thinking of migrating, please share this episode and subscribe so you will be notified of the new episodes coming up soon. Thank you very much. This is Leah from Life Take 2.